Either you've been living under a rock or you have heard of tenderness.
And then, you know, shake it a little bit. Station.
And really, it's just people picking up on a new technique used in barbecue to create the absolute perfect barbecue ribs. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need to travel to Texas because you can easily make it at home.
Big thanks to Kamado Joe for sponsoring this episode.
Of course, it involves a trip to the butcher. You're going to need to pick up a rack of ribs. And these are beef ribs. They're very common and easily to get. The next thing that you're going to need to do is cut these into single ribs, which again is very easy to do. Then you're gonna season the ribs. Now I like to use the PitmasterX beef seasoning for that. Of course I'm gonna put plenty of seasoning on the ribs, so we get a nice thick crust. And by cutting the ribs up into single ribs instead of leaving them as a whole, it's gonna give you 2 times more service. Because normally you would just have the back and the front, and now you also get to season the sides. So you're multiplying flavor on your ribs. Now of course, to do it right, you're going to need a barbecue. If you want to, you can do it in the oven, but I definitely recommend firing up the grill. So I'm gonna take my Kamado Joe, lift out the grill grates and put some big block charcoal in. And this is the connected version, which means I'm gonna start it up, dial in the temperature, and it automatically tells me to close the bottom vent and open the top vent. And then all I need to do is hit the ignition button and the barbecue will come up to temperature on its own. Now I put in a chunk of Beech smoke wood because that is what we locally prefer, but you can use any type of smoke wood that you like as long as it goes with beef. And to make it easy on myself, I'm going to use the chef stamp thermometer. It's a wireless thermometer that helps me keep track of the temperature inside the meat and inside the barbecue. And while the barbecue is coming up to temperature, I'm going to put the beef ribs in the barbecue. Of course I got the heat deflectors in, so I got indirect heat. And now I'm going to smoke these beef ribs at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius for about an hour and a half. Now 1.5 hours is definitely a sweet spot, but what I'm also checking is the core temperature of the beef. So I got 71 degrees Celsius on my chef stamp thermometer, and 1.5 hour and about 70 degrees Celsius is what I'm aiming for, because after 70 degrees Celsius the meat doesn't tend to take up much more smoke flavor. So the smoking that you do from that point on is just adding up on top of it, and it's going to make it a little sour. Now luckily we've got this beautiful look. The beef ribs are exactly the way that I want to have them. I'm feeling quite pleased. So now we're gonna go for the second phase of the cook. And therefore I warmed up my magical tray. And in my magical tray is, let me show you, hold on, a beef tallow bath. I'm going to take my beef ribs and put them in the beef tallow bath. And the reason that I'm doing this and not wrapping them is because the beef tallow is naturally a part of the beef rib. And it's basically a form of confit cooking. Not sous vide, confit. I have to put them on the side to make them all fit. These beef ribs are going to go back on the barbecue, including the beef tallow bath. And sitting in that bath, they're going through the last phase of their cook. I'm going to take them all the way up to the right temperature, but more importantly, I'm going to give them time to become soft and tender. And the cool thing about doing that in beef tallow is that, well, basically they can't dry out. It's the ultimate seal for flavor, juiciness, and eventually tenderness. And one more thing that I absolutely love about using this technique is the looks of the beef ribs afterwards. But for me to show you that, we're going to have to wait at least 2 hours. And I'm probably thinking with these beef ribs, we're looking more towards 3 hours. So I'm gonna check regularly, and when they're done, we're gonna have a look together. This is such easy barbecue, honestly. It feels like a cheat code. Because really all you have to do is wait, and then of course I'm gonna probe it for tenderness. But it's basically, it's folding right through. Now we're gonna get one of these beauties out and we're gonna take a close look at it. And we're going to see what that tenderness actually entails. But look at this, that just looks so good. Now it's still connected to the bone. Of course it's hot. As you can see, it's not falling off by any chance because of the size of it. But tenderness is cutting meat with a spoon. Oh. Falls off the bone. There we go. Now if we take a good look at that crust, that is insane. It is such a beauty. Of course, I'm gonna do the tear test. We see that we got the smoke ring right here. Let's take some time to appreciate that. We got the juiciness. Let's tear this up. Oh, extremely hot still, but looks so good. Oh, fantastic. It shreds like butter. This is really, really good. And now you obviously can see why barbecue restaurants apply this method and why it's now taking the internet by storm. If you're not cooking your ribs this way in 2026, I don't know, man, you're missing out. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a big thumbs up and a comment down below, and see you in the next video. Cheers. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling. Ooh. Yeah, baby.